If your quality of sleep is not good, by the time you are 40 and going into your 50s, you will have dementia and Alzheimer's. If you're not breathing well, your breath is the first thing that will tell you at any given point in time when your body and mind is out of kilter. It's either a sigh, it's either a yawn, or a heart palpitation. When every else is not working well, your quality of sleep is a shit show. It keeps you up at night.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strong hosts to break, got long walks to take. Got no votes to make, but don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. The African male iris through the eye of an African male.
Firstly, so we're getting into the question and answer segment, and I just wanted to say thank you so much, guys, for coming out. It really means a lot to us because we spend a lot of time thinking about what we can do to make this entire experience better for you guys. So if you also have some general feedback, any thoughts, any ideas that you'd like to share with us, please reach out to either myself, Tino, or Slim, and we can have a chat. We'd love to know what your thoughts are. So the topic that we wanted to sort of look into was heritage and culture. Heritage and culture in the terms of the modern day man. The modern day man in a dating scene, in a relationship, in a business scene, as a father, as a modern father, blended families, you know, like communication styles. Are men really talking now? Because there's been a big conversation about men don't open up. Are they really opening up now? Is there a reason why they're not opening up? Just looking at modern day society, are we good? What's wrong? What are the major problems? So what we wanted to do was sort of just have a discussion around that. Any questions, any thoughts, if you'd like to share some, this is where we'd like to sort of go with it. So if you've got anything, please raise a hand, and then one of us is just going to come around with the microphone and just start, hearing what your thoughts are. If you'd like to answer a question that's been asked, or share some thoughts, or if you'd like to just ask a question, say maybe you really want to know the way men think about a certain thing, or you have a personal situation and you'd like to understand why is this man doing this or whatever, then you can also just ask. So please feel free. And I don't know if we've got anything right now.
I've got a question though. Before
no.
I can give it to the crowd.
Yeah. Hi, please tell us your name and then you can ask the question.
Okay, my name is Roji.
Your name is?
Roji.
Roji.
Yeah.
Like the kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, so my question is a bit personal, right? Not on me, but maybe
you're asking for a friend.
For a friend.
So, I just want to ask one question, especially to the men.
Right.
That get married twice.
Right.
Let's say you've been married, like you've had your first marriage and you've had kids with your first wife.
Right.
Why is it that, let's say your kids from the first marriage move in with you, and you can see that your second wife is abusing your kids? Why can't you stand up and say something or protect your kids?
Wow. Is that an answer or do you have a question?
Is there any?
Okay, is that a different question?
Something towards
you want
that.
to respond to that? Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
Hello everyone. Okay.
Your name and then you can...
So my name is Andiswa.
Okay.
So to that question that she just spoke about, I'm gonna say something that's not easy, but it is doable. And I say it's doable because it's something my brother and I saw. Now here's the thing about being and look, it's being a person, but we're gonna talk in the context of being a man who decides to remarry and you have kids.
Right.
Right? I would say best thing in the event that you have kids and you decide to remarry, you'd rather do it when the kids are older.
Okay.
Don't do it when the kids are still younger, because at least you try and alleviate the situation where the second wife now comes and doesn't treat the kids from the first wife well. Why do I say this? I grew up in that kind of household. Okay? So, very brief synopsis. I come from a single parent household. My parents were married. Unfortunately, our mother passed away when we were very young, my brother and I. And my dad made the very difficult decision to not get married until, I think my brother and I were in our final years in varsity when he decided that he's now going to take another wife. So his situation was that he was widowed, not that he split up with my mom. Obviously, he did have relationships with other women. I mean, he wasn't a celibate man, but his main focus was, I do not want another woman to come and abuse or mistreat my kids. Because at the end of the day, his main priority was us.
Right.
Right. Now, was that an easy thing for him to do? No, it wasn't. I won't lie and say it was easy for him to do. But it was a sacrifice on his part to ensure that we grew up in a home environment. Yes, it was difficult in the sense that there was no mother to nurture us like how a mother is supposed to be nurturing her kids. But he saw from his own family experiences what happens once you start bringing in a stepmother into the picture, where a man tends to not look at what the kids think about their stepmother or what the stepmother thinks about the kids. He just thinks about himself, not knowing that there's a dynamic in here where the kids can be mistreated by the stepmother. So he saw that in 2 instances in his family, and he said to himself, I don't want that for my own kids.
Okay.
So I would say, even in reverse, even if it's the woman, I would say park the idea of actually getting remarried. Granted, there are some good people out here who can take you and your kids and they look after you well. I'm not saying those situations don't happen, but I'd rather you err on the side of caution and think about your kids ultimately. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
All right, so there's one more contribution over there.
Okay, so name's Tino, by the way. Contribution is going to be very short.
Your name is?
Tino.
Right.
Hi, Tino.
Yeah, let's get Tino. Yeah, so first things first. You need to separate between 2 kinds of remarrying. There's somebody who's marrying because they broke up with someone or divorced with someone due to reasons that could have caused a lot of trauma to them. And you gotta bear in mind, usually when you jump into your second marriage or your second relationship, the first person that you're gonna tell everything that happened to you is the woman that you're getting in with. She's gonna try and mend literally everything, which will literally bypass her personality towards your kids. You will find peace living with that woman, but your kids won't. Then you look at the second, what can I call it, scenario. It's where somebody has passed on. This is at peace. You know exactly what you want. You know the person that you had was the person for you. You know exactly when the person is doing wrong to you and your kids. It's easier to walk away from such a situation rather than the first one that I mentioned. With that, I thank you.
All right. Well done. Okay, I don't know if you guys want to say something about this.
I was gonna put in
All right, okay.
my 2 cents
So,
to it.
14 years ago, I said yes. And it was my then boyfriend and his almost 2-year-old that asked me to marry him.
He had a
However,
2-year-old
He had a 2-year-old
son or...
son.
Okay.
Most of the time, it was a Monday to Thursday with mom, Friday to Sunday with dad. So the long and short of the story is, 14 years later, if we have to look in this 14-year period, he's predominantly stayed with us. For people that met me after I met and married Taurai, they were like, oh, he looks like his dad. And most of the time, those people didn't know I was not his biological mom. So sometimes it depends on the woman. And sometimes it also depends on the guy, on how he safeguards the woman. Because when his son's mom had a moment, I said, babe, I didn't break up any home. So I feel like I need to be protected. And so he became our quality gates. He became the gates where baby mama threw her toys. He then said, let's deal with the matter at hand. I was accused of a lot of things. Force feeding, starving, and lots of things in between. But here we are, 16 years later, and if I have to put the time the child stayed with us versus he stayed with her, 13 years in total he's been with us.
Wow.
He's been my soldier. And I've always said, I've got a nickname for him. I've said, Papa, have you phoned mom today? It's Mother's Day today, have you phoned mom today? It's mom's birthday today, let's phone mom. So sometimes it also depends on how supporting that person is. And she's given me grey hair. There's lots of grey hair, but I also had to understand my love relationship with Taurai versus the love relationship I have with this little one versus the relationship he has with his child are 3 different ones that cannot be on the same level.
Right.
Because how do I as a woman say, do you love me more than you love your son?
Yeah.
It's not the same love. It's not apples to apples, right?
Yeah.
It's different if I say, Bonini, do you love me? She's my friend. And I come to you and I say, Sisi, do you love me? And you, my friend. This is like for like. But I also do think it becomes a discernment matter in the grand scheme of life. I would want to say that, my guy wooed me with the apple. I thought, what? You're bringing me an apple. Other people bring chocolate. You're bringing me apple. And so I watched him and then he would do all these, what I thought was so weird things to woo me. But then I realized it was his signature. Or whether it was his developing signature, I didn't know. But over time, because we kept the communication gates open, and when I said, I don't like what your baby mama has done, but what I do think you should do is lead with what has she said or done to affect your relationship. Don't put me there. Because a lot of times, us women are catty. So stretch your eyes out, this is my man. But I didn't approach that way, right?
Okay,
So
I think
this is
Trish
where
wants
I'm
to
coming
respond.
from.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm almost there. So for me, I'm saying a number of things because it touches what you're saying, and it touches my sister from KZN and what she was saying. Because your question is, how long could Dad wait? Because then that's his love being put on pause. But then on the other hand, you are flesh of his flesh. So how does that work? And that's where I want to almost call it discernment on how do we navigate this path. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, so we're going to help each other, right?
Right.
Air out our question so that you understand our question,
Right.
Hello.
Hi.
How
Please
are you?
tell us your name.
My name is Gikomborero.
Ah, okay. All right.
All right. So the two scenarios that came up, I think Tino said something. KZN said something.
Andiswa.
Andiswa.
Yeah.
And then my sister said something, right? So from what I heard from Trish,
Right.
Trish is asking, right? So you have remarried, right? Why do us as men allow the women that we remarried to abuse our kids? And we're seeing that,
Right.
but we're not reprimanding.
Okay.
Yes, that's her question.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I can answer that. No, but I can answer it. And I'm gonna be very vulnerable with you guys. I recently separated with my wife of 10 years, and I have 2 kids.
Right.
So this is a reality discussion for me, as much as it can be a theoretical one for everybody else. I would never stand and watch my kids being abused. I paid extra money today to be here tonight because I've got someone who I personally trust to watch my kids for at least 3.5 hours, right? So that's the kind of person that I am. And so when it comes to situations like that, it always goes to the kind of person that you're talking about. Because Andy's father was a different kind of man who looked and saw something similar happen, and then he said, I would rather stay away and not get married for the sake of my children. So he probably did have a relationship during that time, but he made a decision. So I feel like a lot of the decisions that people make and that we put ourselves in are always going to be based on who we are as an individual. It's going to be based on how mature you are, how self-aware you are. And I like what Tino said. Tino said a lot of people remarry for different reasons. Some men will remarry because they can't handle the kids. They never had a healthy relationship with the kids. I can put my boys to sleep. I can change a diaper. I can cook for them. I can wash them. I can play with them. I can teach them stuff. So I'm not in a rush to get anybody to replace my ex-wife because I can do all of that. And I can get a helper and I can pay them. So I'm not in a rush to replace or put another woman in front of my kids, right? To add to that, both of my kids are autistic. So I'm not going to gamble with that. I'm going to think hard about, do I really want to actually get to remarry at all? Or do I not want to do that? Or do I just want to focus on raising the kids? So like I said, it's going to be something that's based on the individual. So the kind of man you're talking about is probably a man who did not know how to take care of kids outside of a woman. So he didn't know how to do dishes, probably didn't know how to do dishes, probably didn't know how to cook. So he's stuck because he's like, who's going to cook for them? Who's going to take care of them? Because maybe that abusive woman will say, hey, you know what? All of the kids need jerseys. And maybe he doesn't think about that. So he starts thinking, she's better because she will think about the jerseys for the kids and I will never think about the jerseys for the kids. So for whatever reason, other men will do what they do. I have no idea. I can't speak to it because you'd have to ask a man who's in that situation to be able to explain that behavior. But I think that society has sort of shifted from that kind of man because now men are also not afraid to have more honest conversations amongst ourselves. You know, there were things we never used to be able to just ask about our friend or from our friends to say, you know, what's going on with you and whatever. But it's almost like our narratives have also shifted with being modern and, you know, just times changing. So we've also gotten to a place where we have podcasts that are run by men because we want to have conversations about men. This was never a thing that was there. But the reason why we're having these conversations and we have these kind of platforms is so that we address these kind of things and correct them. And I think the more we have these kind of conversations, it always speaks to everybody who's in the room to then think about that. Because just hearing Andy's story, I get to then think about, okay, maybe I could actually wait in terms of getting married. Maybe I could wait and actually just date, you know? And then that should be fine until I feel like, okay, this person is good enough. Okay, maybe my kids are safe. Okay, maybe you know? Because the truth is there are good people, like you rightfully said and shared your story about how sometimes people don't know if you're the real mother or not because of the bond that you already have. So I think that's something that's very important. But I think it's such a great question, Trish, that you brought up. And because we're feeling generous, you get to win
Get a pen.
a free African Male t-shirt. So please, a round of applause for Trish for this question.
All right. Thank you.
That because I think the dynamic that Trish is mentioning is not only reserved for stepmoms and stepdads, right?
Oh, sorry, Bonini, is that microphone on? Okay.
It's not only reserved to that. I think if you were to go to my house and ask my kids, will also select episodes where they'll say my mom is being abusive, right? That is also one thing we need to acknowledge about children, right? So, 2, I want us to also bring in this particular reality. When a woman is not happy, she will express it some way. It might not necessarily be the kid's fault, but if that man has not been treating her well, giving her attention, she will take it out on the most precious thing, which is his children.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah.